quote from the book. Okay, so the way it's written, because it doesn't have those quotation marks, we're saying this is a paraphrase. But really, if you look at all those words I've put in yellow, it's really just stolen words from the text. Parenthetical note is not enough when you're taking words from the text. We need the parenthetical note and the quotation marks. Okay? And when I say parenthetical note, I'm talking about the parentheses at the end that says Rose 2010. Okay. Okay, the next student example. Same source, and the student said, despite the Equal Pay Act passed by Congress 50 years ago yesterday, quote, women who work full-time still earn 77 cents for every dollar men earn. And the numbers are even more shocking for African, American, and Latino women. And then in parentheses, Rose 2010. What do we think about that one? Is correct. Now, what this one did is it mixed paraphrase and direct quote. And the key was, not only do we have the in-text citation, Rose 2010, paragraph 1, we also have, in quotation marks, the part that came word for word from the source. So we're saying this information came from Rose, but these words, from women to earn, also came from Rose word for word. The whole sentence of information came from there, but these words are hers as well. So everything's nicely paraphrased, and anything that's not paraphrased is put in quotation marks. And we have that in-text citation to give her credit. Okay, and then the last one on this source. Women still earn almost a quarter less for every dollar men earn, and African American and Latino women earn even less than that. This is unacceptable. And you thought this one was okay? And I'm going to tell you it's not. It's plagiarism. What's missing? When we talked about what we need to do to give credit to our sources, we've put it in our own words, which is the first step, but now we need to give credit to the source by adding a parenthetical note. So we've paraphrased the information. That's great. That's step one. But now we need an in-text citation. Now, when we place that in-text citation, we want to make sure we put it in the right place. We'd put it at the end of the first sentence, women still earn almost a quarter less for every dollar than men earn. We'd put it at the end of that sentence because that next sentence, this is unacceptable, is the student's response to the information from the source. And if we put the citation after the student's response, it's not clear that that response didn't come from the source. So we need to put it in the same sentence that the information from the source came from. Okay? Let's look at the next example on page 2. Now I'm going to go ahead and read the original, and then we'll look individually at each of the 4 beneath. Okay, the original is from an Al Gore article that was published in the New Republic, and it was called The Crisis Comes Ashore, and he published this in June 2010. He said, the continuing undersea gusher of oil 50 miles off the shores of Louisiana is not the only source of dangerous, uncontrolled pollution spewing into the environment. Worldwide, the amount of man-made CO2 being spilled every 3 seconds into the thin shell of atmosphere surrounding our planet equals, in tons, the highest current estimate of the amount of oil spilling from the Macondo well every day. Indeed, the average U.S. coal-fired power plant gushes more than 3 times as much global warming pollution into the atmosphere each day, and there are over 1,400 of them. So take a look at the 4 student uses of that information that are listed below, and mark which ones you think are plagiaristic and which ones you think are okay. And if it's plagiaristic, mark for yourself how you think it could be fixed. As you look at these, ask yourself, have we given credit to where the information comes from? And if we have we also indicated whether or not those words are our own or if they're from the original? Okay. So let's look at the first. I've already read the original. I'm going to read you the way the student used this source. The student said, the oil spilling into the Gulf from the Macondo well is tragic. However, it's not the only man-made pollution Americans should be up in arms over. Americans upset by the BP spill need to also consider pollution created by America's over 1,400 coal-fired power plants, which produce much more pollution daily than the current spill. This is plagiarism, and the very first problem that we see is that they didn't give us an in-text citation to let us know where the information came from. So these ideas, and the words are nicely paraphrased, but the ideas are not from this student. They came from Al Gore's article, so the student needs to cite the article. Now, we have two sentences here, and what a lot of students want to do is just put the citation at the end of the series of sentences that come from the source. And the problem is sometimes it's just not clear that all of those sentences came from the source. So I would probably start the sentence, the paragraph, by saying, you know, in his article, The Crisis Comes Ashore, Al Gore describes how the oil spilling into the Gulf from the Macondo well is tragic. However, he explains, and then at the end of that sentence, second sentence, I'd go ahead and put Gore 2010. So I'm covering my ground on both sentences and making it clear that the information in this whole paragraph comes from Al Gore.